If you've ever watched your child completely fall apart, screaming, pacing, throwing things, laying on the ground, inconsolable, and wondered if you were doing something wrong or if it was bad behavior that you needed to fix, this video is for you. Because what you were probably witnessing was not a tantrum. And that distinction matters more than anything else I'm going to tell you about today. Hi, I'm Maryellen Yates, and this is Growing Together, Neurodiversity at Home. Practical support for parents raising neurodivergent kids from someone living it too. Today we're going to talk about emotional regulation, what it is and why neurodivergent kids struggle with it, and why the way we respond to meltdowns either helps or makes things significantly worse. Okay, let's get started. I want to start with my own kids because I think one of the most confusing things about meltdowns is that they don't look just one way. And if you have more than one neurodivergent kid, you probably already know this. My second son was the first to be diagnosed with autism. And from a very early age, certain things would send him into a full spiral. Food was a big one because he actually really loves food. He's just very selective with the food that he's willing to eat. And so if he's decided in his head that he is going to eat a certain food and we tell him we don't have it or that's for tomorrow because we haven't cooked it yet, sometimes that could send him into a full meltdown. He would start screaming, pacing, and this almost kind of stomping type of dance around the room. Unfortunately, there was no talking him down in the moment. No reasoning, no redirection. Once he got to this point, he was gone. Around 3, when he started talking more, purple and yellow were his favorite colors. If his older brother grabbed a purple or a yellow bowl first, same thing, full spiral. My daughter is the third of my kids, so she's younger than the second one that I was just talking about. And she hasn't formally been diagnosed yet, but I'm strongly suspecting at least ADHD, if not ADHD. She has spent a lot of her years as the tag-along for her older brother's appointments. In Germany, when we started ABA therapy for my second son, the clinic was 45 minutes away. Plus, he was there for 4 hours on the days that we went. So that was a really long day. And by the time we came home, I would try to get my daughter out of the car and she would be flailing around, screaming, arching her back, trying to get away from me. And if I put her down, she would try to either run into the street and lay down in it. Luckily, we were in a very quiet neighborhood. Or she would just lay down screaming on the sidewalk. And so obviously I would get her as quickly as I could, scoop her up and bring this screaming child inside. And all I could do is hold and rock her, and eventually she would calm down. But this was challenging when I'd be trying to load 2 other kids out of the car, and I was pregnant myself with my 4th. That season of our life, it was only for 3 months, but it taught me that environment matters. And so when we moved to Georgia, one of our priorities was finding a house that was near therapies. We had to have our days more manageable. It was a necessity for us. But still, one time when my sister-in-law came to visit, she asked her not to do something, and my daughter went into a full meltdown and was screaming and crying. She ran to her room, and she did that for probably 45 minutes to an hour, just screaming. Tiredness is definitely a huge trigger for her. And sometimes the only thing I can do is rock her or try to lay next to her and just be present until she can calm down. And then there's my oldest. He's also different. When he was younger, when he was upset, he would throw things, break things, scream, cry, lash out, try to hit. And for him, it was more nuanced with what I could do. Sometimes a tight hug really helped him and he was able to calm down eventually. Other times, I just had to leave him alone and give him his space and just back off. Make sure he was in a safe place, and then also pick up his younger brother and make sure we were in a safe place so that he didn't hurt either of us. So 3 kids, 3 completely different profiles, but all of them meltdowns and not tantrums. So, what's the actual difference between a tantrum and a meltdown? A tantrum is goal oriented. A child having a tantrum wants something, attention, a toy, to avoid something, and the behavior is aimed at getting at it. And if they get that item or what they want, they stop. If you ignore the tantrum consistently, the behavior fades and the child moves on. It's a strategy for them, even though it's a very exhausting strategy. But a meltdown is a loss of capacity. It's not strategic. There's no goal. Your child isn't trying to get something from you. They have literally hit the edge of what their nervous system and body can handle, and they have just fallen off that ledge. You cannot ignore a meltdown and just have it stop. They will keep going, and sometimes for a very long time. And when it's over, they are drained, genuinely exhausted, because their body just went through something. And that's not bad behavior. That's a nervous system that was just done and could not handle any more. So what actually is emotional regulation? Emotional regulation is the ability to manage your emotional state, to feel something intensely and still be able to function, to be disappointed and not spiral, to be overstimulated and to find your way back. This is a skill, and it's a skill that develops over time for all kids. But in neurodivergent kids, the development looks different. It's often delayed, it's often more uneven, and it's almost always harder. The part of the brain that's responsible for emotional regulation is the prefrontal cortex. And for everyone, this is still developing into your mid-20s. That development is often just running on its very own timeline. So when your 8-year-old melts down over something that seems small to you, their brain genuinely might not have the tools yet to handle it differently. This isn't an excuse, it's neuroscience. And here's the piece that matters for how we respond. You cannot teach regulation during a meltdown. This is not the time for learning. The learning happens before in calm moments with tools and practice, and after when they are calm and regulated again and can reflect. In the middle of it, your only job is to help them get safe and through it, even if it's extremely overstimulating for you as well. So, what helps and what doesn't? What doesn't help? I just mentioned that reasoning and explaining in the moment. Their thinking brain is literally offline. It is not the time. Consequences in the moment, same thing. Matching their energy and yelling and escalating yourself. Demanding that they calm down, you can't demand regulation into existence. So, what can help? This is where co-regulation comes in. Co-regulation is the idea that your nervous system regulates theirs. Think about it this way. If someone is speaking to you calmly, your body relaxes. It feels safe. If someone is yelling at you, your body tenses, you do not feel safe. And often our instinct is to just yell back. And it's the same for your kid. The energy that you bring into that moment sets the tone and models what you're asking them to do. I'll be honest with you. I've had a lot of people tell me how calm I seem when I'm dealing with my kids. And I always find it a little funny because that is not how I feel inside. Noise is extremely overstimulating for me. So when they're screaming, it is genuinely hard. I can guarantee you I'm definitely more dysregulated on the inside during those moments than I look on the outside. And some of that may come from years of experience as a pediatric nurse and how I learned how to function through the chaos when trying to take care of young kids. But I also know that screaming back does nothing. So I take a lot of deep breaths, because when you take deep breaths, you're telling your body to relax. If they'll let me, I'll sway with them, which honestly is one of my regulation tools that I do a lot. And sometimes I do briefly walk away, take a breath, and when I'm ready, I come back. And it's not a failure. We have to let ourselves off the hook sometimes. It's just doing the best that you can because it's hard for everybody. So beyond staying calm, some other things you can do are reducing stimulation. Quieter space, less input, less talking. This is not the time to talk. Knowing your kid's profile, and most neurodivergent parents that I meet know their kid's profile pretty well. So one of my kids sometimes needed tight hugs. Sometimes he needed his space. My daughter needs to be rocked. And you just learn this over time, what helps. And then also just waiting. Sometimes that's the whole answer. You stay present so that they know you're a safe person and you can hold that space, but then you just let it pass because that's all you can really do. Now, after, when they are calm, that's when the connection can happen. That's when you can briefly talk to them if needed. And that's when they still need to feel like you're on their side and that you're working together. So, knowing your kid. So here's something that I've noticed in the neurodivergent community. Most of us develop a kind of hypervigilance around our kids. We become very in tune with their patterns, their triggers, and their early warning signs. From the outside, this can look like helicopter parenting. People who don't live this every day don't always understand why we're so dialed in. But that attunement is actually one of your best tools that you have. When you start to see the pattern, is it transitions, hunger, the end of something enjoyable, cumulative stress from a hard day finally hitting its limit, you can sometimes get ahead of it. Not always, but sometimes. But you're not going to be able to completely eliminate meltdowns. But you can reduce their frequency. And you can get faster at helping your kid through them. Your kid is not just giving you a hard time. They are having one. And there's a difference. Now, everything that I've discussed today is about what to do in the moment. But there's a whole other conversation about what happens outside of meltdowns. How you build regulation skills when they are calm. Things like breathing exercises, books about feelings, yoga, practicing what to do when emotions get big, and troubleshooting triggers together. That's its own video, and it will be coming. Hopefully this gave you a little more language for what you're already living. And feel free to share it with anyone who needs it. And if you want to go deeper on the nervous system piece, my video on sensory processing is a good next watch. And that'll be linked below. I'm Maryellen Yates, and this is Growing Together, Neurodiversity at Home. I'll see you in the next one.